I'm sort of tired of federal judges, especially the District of Columbia, that didn't do their job and are now complaining about the threat that Donald Trump may give blanket pardons to all Jan 6 insurrectionists, including the ones in front of them that are accused of hitting police officers with baseball bats and committing 8 felonies, and then having the judge, like Judge Carl Nichols, say out loud today, well, I hope that he doesn't, Donald Trump just doesn't do blanket pardons. You got us into this mess. In a number of rulings, Carl Nichols, I'm going to talk about it more right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. I'm Michael Popok at The Intersection. Let's take a look at Carl Nichols and the crocodile tears he was shedding today in court during a 2-hour-long debate with the U.S. Attorney, or the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Karen Rockland, on one side, the defendant who's representing himself, Jake Lang, on the other, who has been charged with 8 felony counts of assaulting police officers, including with a metal bat, but has the presence of mind to represent himself. And the issue was, should he go to trial on December 2nd or not? Seems relatively simple. This is the way the DC judges are shaken out since Election Day. The ones that have all they got to do is sentencing, they're generally sentencing the person, and they're not listening to the cries of, but I'm going to get a pardon. Yeah, right. Tell it to Donald Trump. Here's what you should. Now he'll know what he's pardoning, and the American people will know what he's pardoning. Here's 2 years, 6 years, 8 years, and the like. So that's happening. Even this Judge Nichols, who I'm going to tell you about more in this particular criticism of him and his crocodile tear moment today in court, which sort of chapped my backside, even he is going forward with sentencing of Jan 6th. So that's happening. If it's a trial that hasn't happened yet, many of them are starting, the judges, to recoil on setting the trials before the inauguration because of these arguments that are being made by lawyers and the defendants themselves in the case of Lang, saying, I'm going to get a pardon. What a waste of time. Don't do the trial. Judge Contreras a couple of days was like, yeah, that's true. It's going to be a waste of scarce judicial resources. Let's see what happens and see if he gets the pardon or not. I'm like, really? Shouldn't he be pardoned for something? Go to trial. See, public justice requires that the person be either exonerated or convicted in a public hearing. Why are we dispensing with that? And now so that's sort of how it's breaking down. Sentencing, yes. We don't care about pardons. Trial setting, oh, I may be busy that day. Let's not do the trial. I mean, suck it up, federal judges. Now let me focus on Carl Nichols. Carl Nichols is an interesting person. He was not necessarily considered MAGA. He was really a down-the-road, conservative, Federalist Society lawyer practicing a law firm. I have friends that are partners at that law firm. And the report was, yeah, he's sort of an honest broker. He's conservative, but not a Trumper. I was like, all right, I was sort of encouraged by that. And then he got the Bannon case. And on the Bannon case, I thought, all right, I don't agree with the timing of all these things. Seems to be dragging his feet a bit. But he did ultimately send Bannon to trial where he lost and was convicted of obstruction of Congress twice, testimonial and documents. And then he delayed the sentencing, though, for a year. He's big into these delays, to let Bannon take his appeal before he was sentenced. So rather than sentence him to 4 months or 6 months, he let him take the appeal. The appeal came back a year later against Bannon. Then he sentenced him to 4 months, and Bannon just got out a couple of weeks ago. So I was like, all right, it's not exactly how I would have done it, but I didn't have too much default. Then came the Fisher decision, which we've talked about at length on Legal AF, which is the decision that Nichols made first, that the Supreme Court ultimately agreed with, which is that the obstruction of an official proceeding count that the prosecutors were charging the Jan 6 insurrectionists with, which was one of their highest charged counts, one of their highest counts for prison terms, up to 20 years, that was inappropriately used and overcharged by prosecutors. This was Judge Nichols, because the Jan 6 insurrectionists, although they wanted to stop the certification and the counting of the electoral votes, they didn't actually get their hands on it and destroy it. And since they didn't destroy or alter the evidence, i.e. the actual ballots, because they were whisked out of the room in a little leather-wrapped box, they can't be charged with that. And I was like, that's not what the statute says. If you read the statute, it doesn't say that at all. But it went up to the Supreme Court. They sort of adopted Nichols' position, and it kind of opened the jail, so to speak, and released all these crazies. who had this charge against them. They had other charges against them too, and a lot of them are still in, but that was the beginning of the end. It became what's known as the Fisher decision. So I didn't have a lot of sympathy for Carl Nichols. I thought he sort of started, he lit a fuse that exploded in everybody's face in the face of democracy. And now he's in court today with Jake Lang, who's representing himself. And Jake Lang actually says out loud, don't schedule my trial for December 2nd. I have it on very good authority that Matt Gaetz, the name of Matt Gaetz came up today, as the Attorney General, is going to clean house, and I'm definitely getting a pardon, so don't bother sentencing. I mean, that's easier said. Now, he was indicted for 8 felony assaults, including 3 police officers he hit with a metal bat. So that's where Nichols sort of bristled and was like, is this, if I will be very disappointed. Wake up, Nichols. I'll be very disappointed if Donald Trump gives blanket pardons or anything like it. Wake up, he's giving blanket pardons and something exactly like it. He said it on the campaign trail. He said that a large portion, this is Donald Trump's quote, a large portion of the Jan 6th political prisoners and hostages will be released and given pardons by Donald Trump. And they're being written right now. They're already written. Giant stack of pardons or their names listed one after another. Donald Trump's going to sign it on the first day. Get ready. And so for him to give me this crocodile tears that he helped cause, and then what does he do? He delays the trial until after the inauguration. He claimed, Carl Nichols, that it wasn't what it looked like. It wasn't to accommodate the demand or the request to delay to get the pardon in place. It was rather, there's some other issues. It's a complicated case. I can't go over it now, but we're going to put the trial off until after January. Really? I mean, then he engaged Nichols, because he has this habit of like contemplating his navel out loud, cogitating about all these big ideas and big thoughts. In the meantime, he's not administrating justice properly. So he gets into a back and forth, a colloquy with the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Karen Rockland. And Rockland's going, this is all speculative and conjectural. These are all probabilities upon probabilities. It's like a joke wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a haiku. Like, this is not, we shouldn't be basing decisions. We should stay in the regular course and try these people and sentence these people. And if the President of the United States wants to issue a pardon by way of his pardon power, at least the American people know what kind of criminal this is. Exonerated, convicted, sentencing, and the like. And she used a couple of examples, which one made me laugh, and the other one, Lang jumped all over. She said, look, I could learn how to flap my eyelids and fly to the moon, or there could be a hurricane and a tornado that hit simultaneously outside this building, but I don't think that's going to happen either. And the guy Lang actually had the balls to say out loud, there is a hurricane and a tornado out there, and his name is Donald Trump, and he's going to be coursing his way through the Department of Justice and cleaning house. I mean, this is what that election has done to the Jan 6th defendants. It has emboldened them to act out in court. And federal judges are just too prim and proper, looking in their rule book. Look, they run the courtroom. I'm a federal court practitioner. They run the courtroom, right? They are God for the day that you're there. Whatever, they have inherent authority to do most anything. He should have said to that guy, sit down. That's not helpful. Another word out of you, I'm going to find you in contempt. Let the adults speak. I mean, if I was the federal judge, I would have done some version of that. But they're like scared because eventually they're going to have the Matt Gaetz. Their fear is they're going to have the Matt Gaetz or Aileen Cannon Department of Justice in front of them with all sorts of crazy U.S. attorneys and assistant U.S. attorneys. All these people are going to leave. This Karen Rockland. I mean, I know that Merrick Garland addressed the troops in a farewell address. Like it was like George Washington's farewell address where he got teared up and got all teary. I've got mixed emotions about Merrick Garland and what he did to our constitutional republic and our system of justice, but in the time that he had. But he said to the legacy prosecutors, the ones that have been there forever, the career prosecutors, we call them the line, L-I-N-E prosecutors and members of the Department of Justice family. He said, you are the Department of Justice. You are its legacy. You are its institutional knowledge. You are the Department of Justice. You need to stay here. Don't leave. Don't allow yourself to get fired. Don't resign, because our only hope Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that the DOJ and the career 10, 15, 20, 30-year people stay, right? Now, they're not going to have fun, okay, during the next 4 years, especially if it's Matt Gaetz' oil painting and his predator grin up on a photo every time they walk into the Department of Justice is sitting there. But he's basically telling them, hang in there for democracy and for our constitutional republic. But I don't have any sympathy for Carl Nichols, especially when at the end of the hearing, he agreed to defer the trial until after the inauguration. Now, we can only hope that if you pick up a metal bat and you try to brain a number of police officers, that even Donald Trump wouldn't think this is a good person to pardon. But who knows? You know, he tried to score some political points. In his addled mind, Donald Trump and his people around him think he's got a mandate. You know, he got like 30 or 40 more electoral votes to release the jails, open the jails, and let all the Jan 6 hostages out and give them restitution, right? Give them money. Why not? Take it from the taxpayers. It's not coming from Donald Trump. He hasn't paid taxes in years. So I'm sort of, as you can tell, sort of annoyed with Carl Nichols. I don't like his Fisher decision. It ended up taking away a very major tool in the arsenal of the prosecutors and leverage in the arsenal of the prosecutors. And I don't like what he's doing here. Now, he made it clear, like I guess because he knew this was going to be reported, he made it clear that when it comes to sentencing, I'm definitely going forward with sentencing between now and January 20. All right, good for you, Carl. Good for you. It's the least you could do. That's what we are paying you for your lifetime appointment as a federal judge. Come on. Enough. The question is, what are these federal judges going to do when the Department of Justice is taken over by the mentally insane? When the asylum is overrun and the inmates run the asylum, it's coming. It's coming, right? And we're going to continue to call it out and challenge it and bring lawsuits in front of judges like Carl Nichols. You'll have your chance, Carl. Judge Nichols, you will have your chance because there will be 1,000 lawsuits filed in the D.C. courts by public interest groups, pro-democracy groups, states, attorney generals of states, challenging everything that Donald Trump does by executive order or otherwise as constitutional and abusive power grab. And it's coming to your courtroom, Nichols. Suck it up. Grow a brain. Grow a pair. Let's move forward. Do something better in the next go-around than what you did the last one. I'm Michael Popok. I'm on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Now you know why we call it Legal AF. Hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all things Legal AF on the Midas Touch Network, on Legal AF, the podcast, and right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.